Experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. It's time to break down what went right and what went wrong during this week's game. Severe Reaction is on the air with your host, Michael Severe, and the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction starts now. Powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Only on 1620 The Zone.
Mordecai's going to go gun. Allen on his left, now shifts to the right. Only one wide out. Snap back. They give it off to Braylon Allen. Slams his way to the 2. Still pushing the foul to the 1. Touchdown. Well, the rugby scrum goes for 6 for Wisconsin. 2 eligible to the near side, 1 on the far side. Snap back to Purdy. Got to make the first down of the game as overthrows downfield, passes high, intercepted. And game's over. Badgers survive, keep the Freedom Trophy, and Nebraska's ails in overtime continue. Not able to score. Wisconsin gets bowl eligible, and 3 straight heartbreaking losses, DB, for the Huskers.
Yeah, obviously a disappointing loss for the guys. Got off to a great start with Chubba. Credit to Wisconsin. I thought they did some things, wore us down a little bit. Some guys got banged up. First of all, on defense, came out of the game, got into overtime and just couldn't get the stop. And then, couldn't convert one of those plays at the end. So disappointed for our guys. Proud of the effort that they did give. A lot of things that, we've talked about were significantly improved, but just wasn't quite enough in a close ball game.
All right, happy Sunday morning. Welcome to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. I am Michael Severe. Joey behind the keys, running the board with his Green Bay sweatshirt on.
Here's the hoping.
Okay, what am I hoping?
They could get a win again at home.
Yeah, I mean,
they've been losing a bunch of close games like Nebraska.
Yeah, I know. I always pull, and this sounds weird. I've never had anything against the Packers ever in my life. I don't think the Saints have ever really had a big game against the Packers. They did beat the Packers here. They won the Super Bowl in the regular season, but I've always liked the colors.
Yeah, and
they're always liked the colors.
They're wearing their 50s throwback jerseys today. Yeah,
okay.
The yellow helmets and the green uniforms with the little yellow stripes on the shoulder
I
pads.
remember those, yes. Those and the Pittsburgh Steelers ones are the two not weird, but just the most you could see somebody wearing those in the 50s. Kind of thing, or the 40s.
And they always do that every year. They'll have one game every season where they'll play,
I like that.
They'll play in the throwback uniforms. I love it.
I like the throwback. And so Joey's here. He'll answer your phones, of course. Answer the phones, 402-951-1620. Answer your calls when you do call. The theme of this show, and I think I try to have a theme for every Severe Reaction because that's just the way I like to put together a show. The theme for this show today is you've got to find winners, man. You got to go find you some winners. And I'm not talking about winning games. I'm talking about players that make winning plays. It's really easy to say, right, that winning can be contagious. Winning is a habit. But honestly, losing's a habit too. And you have so many players on this team that have lost so many big games, so many pressure games, so many games that needed 1 or 2, maybe 3 plays to be made, and they're not made. And you think, why aren't they being made? It's about, and listen, having athletes is incredibly important. I believe star rankings, for the most part, are very important. If somebody feels this is a good player and they give them a star ranking, there's probably a reason. It's not always right. Nothing's 100%, but it's important. So you got to have athletes. You got to have measurables. You got to have star rankings. More than that, though, you have to find people to make plays for you. I call them winners, man. You want an example? Locally, Anthony Rizek, the quarterback at Omaha West Side. That kid's a winner. I've seen him make plays off the edge, making tackles as an outside linebacker in his career. I've seen him make important 4th down runs and throws in his career. And more than anything else, when he's behind center, you know you have a chance to win. You know you do because he is a winner. And you got to find more guys like that. That's just the way it works. Right now, you've got a lot of guys on the team, and some of them obviously won in high school. You got some young players. Jalen Lloyd, obviously won at Westside. Jaden Doss, who we haven't seen in a while, we'll see him. I'm sure we'll see him in the future in terms of being a wide receiver at Nebraska. Won a bunch of games. There's a lot of guys that won games in high school. At the same time, I think you have 11 total real seniors, guys that can't come back next year. It's not a big number, right? But you got a whole bunch of people on this team that have been a part of really bad losses. Tough losses, things you couldn't get done at the end of games, missed field goals, a bad penalty, all those things. And eventually, think about yourself, right? If enough bad things happen to you in a relationship or a job or driving a certain way to work, you then change, right? You get out of that relationship, you leave that job, hopefully, you go a different way to work. But if you were forced to go that same way that was troublesome for you, the bad light, people drive crazier, bad crosswalk, you'd have to figure something out, right? To make it better. The problem is you have so many, this is my theory, you have so many players on this team that have been going the wrong way to work for all of these years now. Some of them 3 years, some 4, some 5, some 6, that they just can't figure out a way to get over the top. And there's so many examples throughout this game when it comes to crunch time and having to make a play. Whether it's Tanner Mordecai back there with a chance to get a shot on him and put the game away. Whether there's a chance to make a play on a wide receiver, right? Who it's third down in overtime. You make that stop. You force them to make a field goal. You come out and you make the play. Or 4th and 1 in overtime. Braylon Allen, you stopped him earlier in the game. You stop him there, game's probably over. Because all you have to do is make a field goal and you win the game. You have to be able to make those plays. Getting dominated occasionally in the line of scrimmage when you have to make a play. We'll get to in depth with all of these, but that 4th and 1 play, Nebraska's up 14-0. You're in the second quarter. You've got a chance to put the game away. You're the 33-yard line. And you run the ball, which I loved, with Emmett Johnson, and the line of scrimmage was completely destroyed by Wisconsin. I said Ben Scott was depleted on the play. That's how badly he was pushed back. Those are plays that have to be made in order for you to get over the hump, win games, eventually, compete for titles or no longer divisions, compete for conferences, however you want to say it. You have to make plays. You can't have a punter struggling. I love Tristan Alvano. I think he's going to be great. But that's a situation at the end of the half at 42-yard field goal. You got to make it. Points are at a premium in the Big Ten, especially in this old Big Ten West. You need every point you can get. You have to have those. You can't lose net punting. You can't lose field position. You just can't. But Nebraska has continually. And that's why they are where they are. We'll get more into the theme. 402-951-1620, of course, brought to you by Nebraska Medicine, where they've done a great job with my family, myself, and the kids for years. I was just up there last Tuesday getting all my checkups. I'm healthy for the most part, healthy as I can be for a 54-year-old man. Also, brought to you by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally, and they take, of course, the time to answer the phone on the first ring for you. Let's go to the phones, 402-951-1620 here on Severe Reaction. We kick it off with Chris. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Michael.
Hey,
real quick. I mean, we've heard over the last few weeks that if we stopped turning the ball over, we had better quarterback play, we'd be 8-2, right? Or something along those lines. In fact, Coach Rule stated last week that like it was an accomplishment that we had 5 turnovers, but only lost by 3. Well, fast forward to last night. Pretty good quarterback play, no turnovers, but for the end. And again, we lose by 3. Yeah. To me, and then you tell me if you agree, it really boiled down to 2 things. We lost the special teams.
Yeah.
In fact, Michael, we won every statistical category for the most part, except for special teams. -80 in return yards.
Yep.
11 per punt.
Yep.
And the missed field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And on that field goal, 2 points, and that'll bring me into the second. And that is simply this. Why weren't we running the ball to put the kid in a better position to get that 3 at the end of the half? And here's why. You knew that Purdy wasn't going to chance or risk throwing an interception in the end zone based on what he did the previous week. So that one was thrown, 10 rows deep to avoid that. And then secondly, horrible clock management. at the end of the game. The ball at the 26 of Wisconsin with a minute 35, and next thing you know, we have 20 seconds. And I just don't understand why last week we played for a touchdown when we needed a field goal. This week we played for a field goal and we need the touchdown. And so the turnovers weren't there. You can't blame the quarterback, and mismanagement. Lastly, as an offensive coordinator, in overtime that you have to score a touchdown. You have 4 plays, right, to run,
right.
2.5 a play. How do we find ourselves in 4th and 16? I don't believe at times we put the kids in the best position to succeed. What play can you call? Where can you put them where it's going to be nearly impossible or difficult for them to mess up, so to speak? So I'll listen to what you have to say.
Hey, Chris, real quick, let me ask you a question, Chris. How many first downs has Nebraska gotten in overtime since 2016?
I would say less than 5.
0.
That's
Not one first down, not one obviously point scored in overtime since that Wisconsin loss back in 2016 there in Madison.
How's that possible?
I have no idea. There's a lot of anomalies that happen with Nebraska football over the last decade. I think that's the biggest one.
Think of the play that Philadelphia runs. What's that? Tush push?
The tush push, the brotherly shove.
If you have that concept of we're just going to move the pile, and then you find yourself in 4th and 2 or 4th and 3, worst case scenario. But anyway, hey, thank you. Have a great morning.
You too. Thanks a lot, Chris. Chris made a ton of good points, and we're going to get to all of those. I haven't written down and what went right and what went wrong, but I know we'll talk a lot about this. But that last drive into the game to get to overtime, man, I talk about this a lot. I call them Madden plays or Madden decisions. 9, 10-year-old kids been playing Madden for 3 or 4 years of their lives and can handle at times clock management better than professionals who have been coaching their entire life. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. You know when you need to call a timeout. It's like there's obviously a sheet, analytic sheet that says do this, do this, do this. But more than that, in football, you've been watching it all your life. Been playing Madden your whole life. At this point right here, I got to call a timeout. If you have to call a timeout, if you got to clock it, whatever. You just know. It becomes instinctive. The clock is ticking down in that situation. And I know Matt Rule's mentality is I want to burn as much clock as I can, maybe get a touchdown, but more than anything else, get the field goal I didn't get the week before that everybody criticized me for, and leave no time for Wisconsin. That's what he was thinking. I completely understand what he was thinking. On the other hand, we all were sitting there in our mind saying, boom, timeout there at 40 seconds. That's what your timeout is. You call the time. You have 3 timeouts. You call your timeout at 40 seconds. That allows you to, in the next 2 plays, do something to get a first down. Whether it is run to get a first down, pass to get a first down, use Purdy's legs to get a first down, which I think they got away from a little in the second half. Instead, on 1st and 10, you have, and this is from the 26-yard line, Emmett runs up the middle for a 7-yard gain. That's where your timeout happens. They don't do it. 2nd and 3, Emmett runs for 1 yard. That's where you use your timeout. That's 20 seconds. You've just burned 20 seconds. There was a minute 35 on the clock at 1st and 10. Wisconsin calls a timeout. There's a minute 35 left. You run 1 play for 7 yards and 1 play for 1 yard. And there's now only 20 seconds left. That's in many ways inept. You just can't do that. That's not the I completely get what he was thinking. I know. I've got to work to get this field goal because last week I didn't. I've got to work to get this field goal to get to overtime and leave them no time. I get that. At the same time, you also talk about being aggressive. And being aggressive is going to get a touchdown there and winning the damn game. It's tough, man. That's why they get paid a ton of money, right? A ton of it. Because there's really hard decisions you have to make. But at the same time, as I said before, that's a Madden 9-year-old kid decision. 40 seconds left. You call a timeout there. You ran for 7. You call a timeout. That allows you got 2nd and 3. You've got the whole playbook open to you. As much as that it's inside the 20-yard line. You get the whole playbook to you. You can make a play there. They said they go down to 20 seconds. Chubba gets the first down. That allows you essentially to have only one play left before you have to kick the field goal for the tie. You want to have at least 2 plays shot, at least 2 shots to the end zone there. You want to. You have to have 2 shots there. You have to. And you only get 1. That's on the coaching. It is. It's on the coaching. It's a bad decision. Let's go back to the phones before we take our first break. 402-951-1620. That's where Eric is. Good morning, Eric. Eric? Are you there? Nope. Eric? Gone. Let's go back to Chico in Omaha. What's up, Chico?
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. I'll be up front. I'm a Hawkeye fan, but my 2 sons are Husker fans.
Okay.
And my big question is, with Matt Rule's decision making in the last 2 games with Maryland and Wisconsin, it seems like he's just not making the right decisions, and not enough people are talking about it. Plus, there must be a reason why he got canned in Carolina.
Quarterback play. He couldn't find a quarterback in Carolina. More than anything else, that was the biggest issue for them. He couldn't find. He had, Cam Newton. Cam Newton damaged his shoulder. Then he bounced around with different quarterbacks. He had like Baker Mayfield for a minute. The biggest problem with them was quarterback play. They could never find a quarterback.
Yeah, that could be. But I'm a Hawkeye fan.
Yeah.
Everybody gets on Kirk Ferentz for his what goes on, but they're still winning games with their defense and everything else. So I'll just hang up and listen to see what you have to say.
Hey, Chico, I appreciate it. Listen, man, you can say whatever you want about Iowa. You can make fun of them. You can make fun of the 25 points a game thing. You can make fun of the nepotism having you. You can do whatever you want. They are an Aretha Franklin team. They do what they have to do to win. Aretha Franklin said, I use what I got to get what I want. They play good defense. They're optimal when it comes to capitalizing on another team's mistakes. And they play great special teams. I remember going back a couple of years ago. They had 4 straight years where they were in the top 7 of special teams efficiency. Think about that. They make their field goals. They punt the ball well. They cover well. They get returns. That 1/3 of the game is why Iowa wins games. Then you throw in the fact that they have a great defensive coordinator and make plays on defense. That is how you win in this West. Now, will that be the way you win going forward with the new conference? I don't know. You bring in some high-scoring offenses. You bring in a whole lot of talent. Maybe you can keep winning the way they are. I don't know. But right now, they do what they have to do to win in the Big Ten West. It's what they do. And they do it better than anybody else. One more call before we go to break. Dave, what's happening, man?
Hey, Michael. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
I'm all right. I'm a little frustrated. Like, I wasn't as frustrated after the game as I was this morning after I started going over, like, reviewing the game and putting together we want to talk about today. I think I got more frustrated this morning.
Yeah, me too. I got a couple of points.
Yeah.
I noticed last night, whether it was Emmett Johnson or Anthony Grant, when we ran off right tackle, inside right tackle, we made hay every time. I mean, those guys on that side did a really good job last night. Teddy kind of was off a little bit. Every time we ran left, we didn't do so good.
Yeah.
But my question is, okay, we get the ball rolling. We run for 10 yards. We run for 8 yards. We run for another first down. And then the first time we run the ball and we only get 2 or 3 yards, now Satterfield wants to throw the ball 4 times in a row. Why doesn't he give them another chance? Just because they stop us on one play doesn't mean we're going to stop us on every play that we run the ball. We had a ton of rush yards last night, and we were moving the ball. I don't see what Satterfield sees when he's actually watching up top or wherever, especially that option call at the end.
Yeah.
We never ran outside, but they shut us down. We lost yards every time. So you knew all night long that play didn't work. Why call it? especially when it was so important. And then I agree with the other callers, man, the time management. I was screaming at the TV. I was like, why are you letting all this time? We're clear down there on the 25, 26 yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't we continue to try to go for a touchdown? Purdy was doing a great job, and the running backs were running tough. I don't get it. I scratched my head on that. I really thought we should have tried to drive it down there and punch it in and just win it in regulation. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I appreciate the call, Dave. Thanks a lot. I'll tell you, it's simple. It really is. It's because of what happened last week. I mean, he mentions it in the press conference. Everybody wanted me to kick the field goal last week when I tried to get the touchdown. Now, try to get the touchdown when we kick the field goal. You can't. He talks about it. He preaches it. It's one game at a time. It's a one-game season. You play one game, nothing else matters. That game's over. It's another one-game season. There's too many times, and I've heard this a couple times in press conferences where he's referenced something that happened a week before. You got to put that stuff out of your mind. This is a different situation. Purdy has been playing better. He had one pass that probably was picked based on the review. I know they reviewed it and said it wasn't. I think the guy got his other foot down, but whatever, after getting possession. But anyway, he hadn't been making a lot of mistakes. So you give him a chance to try to get the touchdown. At the same time, what happens if he does throw an interception in that situation? Then everybody's going, oh, we hit a field goal to get the tie. So I think Matt Rule was thinking that way. He was worried about the outcome instead of worrying about what was happening in the minute. And that is tough. When you start thinking about what the outcome is going to be of what you are doing, you are ahead of where you should be. In that situation, yes, timeout at 40 seconds, no doubt. And then you work to get the first down and give yourself a couple of shots at the end zone. Whether it's where's the fade to Fedoni? I don't even like the fade, but the guy is 6'6", and he can jump a little bit. Where the hell is that? I don't see. Where's that? You're throwing passes to the corner of the end zone to one of the shortest guys on the field every week in Billy Kemp. What are you doing? Stop doing that. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, even Malachi Coleman. We'll take a break. They threw the one to Malachi Coleman, of course, in the half. I'll take a break. When we come back, Sean, stay right there. We'll get back to your phone calls, 402-951-1620. We'll also go over other things that went wrong and a lot of things that went right as well. Presented again by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally, and presented by Nebraska Medicine. We're back here on Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Home is where your health is, where your family gathers together, takes care of each other. And right there with you is Nebraska Medicine. We're proud to take care of Nebraska, to deliver everything your family needs. From immediate care to neurosurgery, it's expertise you can be confident in. With locations throughout the region and telehealth appointments from the comfort of home. Find a provider close to you at nebraskamed.com.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Go Ford for your next truck or SUV and find an easier way to buy with Woodhouse Ford today. And experience the convenience of buying with Woodhouse Ford. Lease a 2023 Ford Escape Active for $397 per month for 48 months and 7,500 miles per year. First payment and $299 doc fee due at signing. Security deposit waived. Tax, title, license extra with approved credit. Expires 12/04/2023.
Creighton Sports Update.
Hey, Blue Jay fans, it's volleyball and soccer season here at Creighton. So get your tickets and come out and support your Blue Jays. For tickets, go to Ticketmaster.com, gocreighton.com/tickets, or Visit the office located at the Ryan Athletic Center. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Dust. It's in the living room, the bedroom, and the bathroom. It's also in your lungs. Let's fix that, shall we? Duck Defense Midwest offers a comprehensive system that cleans, disinfects, filters, and purifies the air. They'll make your home healthier and improve the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com right now for a special air duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. cleanairradio.com.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Chubba gets the shotgun snap, looking to throw. Being blitzed, rolls away from the pressure. Looking upfield, he's going to take off and run. He's got a first down in midfield. 45, 7 to the 40, 35, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nebraska.
How do you do? Number 1, 2.
Purdy raises the leg, 1 on the play clock. Just gets the snap off. Back to throw is Chubba. Steps, throws downfield, pass is caught at the Wisconsin 35. Bouncing away from the tackler is Jalen Lloyd. He's to the 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nebraska. Jalen Lloyd takes a rifle of a pass from Chubba Purdy and sprints 58 yards for a score. It's 13-0 NU.
I thought Chubba played really well. One play along the sideline where, maybe it was an interception, the ball went out of bounds, but I thought he protected the football. I thought he pulled the ball down when they went to run. I thought he converted third downs. I thought he was hot in the first half. He thought he ran the football. We didn't call a lot of designed quarterback runs or anything like that, but he was doing a nice job, in my opinion, of just, if it wasn't there, pulling the ball down and going. So, obviously they hit a little bit of a lull there at the beginning of the second half. That's, kind of watching them. That's kind of what they've done to people, and but found a way at the end to go make some plays. So for his first start for us, this year, I thought it was really something to build on.
Welcome back to the reaction here on 1620 The Zone. Just rewatching that last drive of the half, just so I have the numbers correct of the game, not the half. So you had the run was at 135, 7-yard run to Emmett Johnson. Play ends essentially at 128. They don't snap the ball again until 49 seconds left. All right, that's fine. I'm fine with that. You're in the red zone, great. Emmett Johnson then runs for the 1 yard, right? And that play ends at 45. That's where you call the timeout. 45 seconds, you call the timeout right there. You have a third down play. You call the timeout. You discuss the third down play, right? You figure out what you're going to do to get the first down because it's the most critical first down of the game right there. Instead of going at 45, they let it go to 20. They took away at least 2 more plays they could have run in the red zone to try to put the game away. So instead of calling it at 45 or 43, they call it at 20. It's kind of mystifying. But again, I know why. He didn't want the same thing that happened last week to happen this week. An interception in the end zone, not getting the field goal. That's what he was thinking. As I said, you can't think outcomes. You can't. At that moment, think in the present. What's happening right now? That's what has to be thought. Civil Reaction brought to you by Nebraska Medicine. I'm taking care of my family literally since I moved here in 2002, and presented by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally. A guy, old man Doug, taking care of business over there. Let's go to the phones. Sean has been on hold the longest. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Just fine. How are you guys?
Pretty good, man.
I got a few things to point out.
Go ahead.
The offensive coordinator and time management has been a problem all year. Second is, why weren't we double teaming the only target they went after the whole time passing?
They did a couple times. They actually had him over under a couple times, and he beat it.
Yeah, but still,
Yeah,
I mean, too many times he was wide open.
Yeah, he was.
The other thing, we tried to cover him with a defensive tackle a couple times.
Well, the dropout on the zone blitz. Yeah, that was actually, they beat us with the tight end on that wheel route when they dropped Ty Robinson back in the coverage. Yeah, that's not good.
I also watched a couple times where they dropped him where they didn't pass the ball to the guy, but they actually were dropping the tackle or the end off to cover that guy. It doesn't make sense to me. But besides that, the biggest thing is when we get to the overtime.
Yeah.
How come we don't get plays in on time? It's on the offense coordinator.
I think, part of it is, now he's upstairs, so he signals down. They worry about people stealing signals, so they have all the little fake signals coming in. I think once they get to having headsets, having the radio in the headset, they'll be fine. But I agree with you. That's a real mistake. Part of it, though, Sean, is I think part of it is you've not had the same quarterback all year, and so you're constantly changing the way you run the cadence and stuff. I think that's part of it. I don't know.
That could be part of it. Also, with the cadence change, it's hard on the offensive line when you're a do and die. I played in college D2 at UNO.
Yeah.
Why aren't we going off on the sound or the first count instead of putting the lineman in a bad situation with the new signal caller anyways, especially in that overtime?
Yeah.
We got those stupid penalties towards the end of the game.
No, I'm with you, man. They had 3 first false starts that I can think of that started off on first downs where they put themselves right behind the sticks on first down with a false start. Yeah.
That's all I got. Most of this comes down to the offense coordinator and a lot of the play calls and time management. I mean, I can go to 3 or 4 games this year where it comes down to.
No, I agree with you, Sean. Thanks for the call, man.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we appreciate it. Yeah, no, there's so many times where we are critical of one part of a team or one player, and this happens a lot, when the real true criticism is either the preparation, they weren't ready for that situation, and that's on coaching, or the specific play calling that's happening, and that's on coaching. Players have to make plays, but coaches have to put players in the position to make those plays, and you know what your guy does well. You do. Yes, the right side of the line is much better right now. You got a freshman in Jenkins and a Prohaska who's still, battling all the injuries he's come off of, opposed to a right side where, Newelli's been banged up, but Benhart's had a good season. So your right side's better. You got to play off of that. You know that. You can't have a punter that continues to struggle the way he is. You can't continue to lose net punting. You can't continue to lose field position. You can't. All those things will cost you the game in the end. Let's go back to the phones where Luke is this morning. Hello, Luke. How are you?
Morning, Michael. How's your Sunday going?
Oh, man, it's all right. It's 8:32 and I'm mad. But other than that, I'm good.
I know. I hear you. So you kind of touched on this in your open a little bit with the whole, we have a lot of guys on this team who have kind of gone the wrong way for, 4, 5, 6 years. And just, they've kind of always been going the wrong direction. You talked about that in your open. And to tell me if I'm being a little bit too critical of the big picture here, but is this kind of an example of maybe why, we criticize, Deion Sanders for, overhauling, over half his roster at Colorado.
Yep.
Is that something that this issue is so deep within the program that something like that needed to be done initially, or am I overthinking that?
No, you're not crazy. And I didn't personally, I understood why after a 1-11 season, you didn't want to bring a lot of those guys back. I thought some of the ways he handled it based off of what players said in the media, I thought was wrong, but I completely understand that. You have to completely clean house. Hey, tell me this. I'm sure this has happened to you, Luke. Have you ever had a situation where the power went out in your house? It's out for a little while.
Yeah.
You throw everything away in the refrigerator, right? You don't take any chances. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
I get it in a way. I'd hate to think that it's college. You don't want to cut kids, but yeah, you have to cut away the bad meat sometimes to find what you want to use, especially when you're aging something. I mean, that's how you have to do it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for sure. It was just one of those things where we knew this season. I don't want to call this season a throwaway season, but we knew this season was going to be a trial anyway.
Sure.
You almost be willing to take a 3-9 with an overhauled roster than these heartbreaking losses going 6-6, trying to get to 6-6, and then still having those same issues stick around.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think we can always say that you wouldn't mind having a 3-9 season to start over a rebuild at the same time. Do you really want to see a 3-9 season? Has this more fun of a season, even though they've lost 3 in a row, than you thought you'd have, or what?
No, that's a good point. I probably, being closer to a bowl game is certainly more enjoyable than seeing an 8 and a 9 in that loss column. So I agree with you there.
Yeah. I appreciate the call, Luke. So here's the thing that's got to drive you crazy if you're a Nebraska fan. Northwestern got bowl eligible, right? Maryland got bowl eligible on you. Wisconsin just got bowl eligible on you. Northwestern was one of the biggest messes that you could possibly have to start the season, and those dudes are winning games. Part of that was a culture that was built by Pat Fitzgerald. Part of that is, and by the way, this is the first time they've been eligible since 2020. They missed a couple years straight. Part of that is you bring in a guy and a coach who knows how to win. One at a lower level, but knows how to win. Take one more phone call before we take a break. Let's go to old man Doug. What's up, old man Doug? How you doing?
Frustrated as usual.
Yeah.
I'm out for my frustration walk. Some callers made some good points. I don't know if you can totally flush the entire roster, but I do think there are a few, and it's tough. I actually did. I went to the Creighton game after it was 14-0. I was right across the street at a sports bar.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of maybe glad I didn't. So I did not see, and I got home after the game just long enough to see the last two plays of the game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, getting kicked in the groin all the time. But,
Hey, Doug, can I ask you a quick question, Doug? And I know you like
Yeah.
Creighton basketball, and I know you're, all of that. If Nebraska was good, say instead of being 5-5, they're I don't know 9-2 in that game.
I would have missed last night's Texas Southern game.
That's what I thought. Okay, I'm just making sure because it was Texas Southern, and I was wondering if you'd have missed that game. Okay.
And there's going to be people probably call after this, and they're going to give me a hard time about being a J-sker. But I always remind them, I said, well, if you don't like J-skers, then send Howard Hawks his money back. They're not going to do that. There's a lot more J-skers than people realize. And big picture wise, it's probably going in the right direction. It's painful.
Yeah.
And really, we played a better game last night than they did in the two previous games.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't have turnovers. Yeah, sure.
And I would say they've got a 40% chance to beat Iowa. And I would say if it's 40%, that other 60% is going to be painful if they do lose. It's going to be real painful. It's just a painful season. I think you got to give it a little bit of time. As much as I don't have patience, I didn't see the one play that I heard about on the radio was Hendricks got tripped. They made the sack.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I got to go back, and I'm going to look when I get back to my walk how bad that call was. But
it was a bad call. They missed it. They completely missed it. Yeah.
So, but I'll keep coming back for more punishment. I go to the Iowa game. But, yeah, that's a good point. Because we were over at Let It Fly. It's a pretty nice place.
It is.
And I was like, okay, Wisconsin's going to quit. Now, maybe give Wisconsin, and I hate Wisconsin. I hate Iowa. And the only thing worse is the smirks on their fans' face. Because, really, they're just above average. They've never been great. And they act like and they got us right now. So I'm not going to go on getting somebody from Iowa's face if we somehow win.
Right.
Which is very possible. And let's look at the positive. Purdy really didn't. I didn't see the one where it might have been an interception. The last interception, what was he going to do? Take a sack?
Yeah, exactly. You got to throw it up. Yep.
Oh, we didn't have any turnovers.
Yep.
They had a time of possession advantage. So, unlike the Frost teams, I do think this team is close.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's saying, well, you're never going to get an easier schedule. Next year's schedule.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's well, but the first 7 games.
Yeah, you can go 7-0. Yeah.
I don't see anybody there like we can't right now beat Michigan. We can't beat Ohio State. We can't beat Penn State.
USC, UCLA, maybe.
Yeah, well, I'm talking existing.
Yeah, I'm just talking about now.
Right
The next year's schedule. That last 5 is tough.
But USC doesn't play any defense, so who knows? I mean,
You have no idea what you're going to have next year with USC with their coaching staff. Sure.
But I was kind of glad I didn't get to, see I have to watch the meat of the game to have an opinion. And I do think we're a couple of players away from being a good team.
Yeah.
Not a great team. Maybe above average Iowa or Wisconsin type team. But I like Matt Rule. We're losing games right now. I'm glad he didn't do a Deion Sanders. And the way Deion Sanders did it was probably worse.
I know.
And in my business, you don't renege. When you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
And so that's
Doug,
hard for me to endorse that.
Yeah. Hey, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your frustration walk, and we'll talk to you down the road.
I mean, hey, at least I get in better shape when we lose.
Yeah, it is true. He's getting better shape. He's getting his cardio in because Nebraska's bad. John in Baton Rouge, stay right there. Matt, stay right there. We're going to take another break. I'm already behind breaks. By the way, Doug was right. According to FPI, ESPN, Nebraska's got a 39% chance of winning the game against Iowa Black Friday in just 5 days. We'll take a break, come back. John, stay there. Max, stay there. We'll be right back here on Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
'Tis the season to volunteer. Here at the Salvation Army of Omaha, the bells will start ringing at our iconic red kettles come mid-November. That means we need you to volunteer. Ringing the bells at our kettles is a family fun activity that makes a big difference. All kettle donations stay local, and they fund everything from Salvation Army food and housing programs to behavioral health services and more. So sign up today at registertoring.com. And while you're at it, sign up your family, friends, church group, or coworkers too. Go to registertoring.com today.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by J. Sennett Contracting, Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and Rotella's Italian Bakery. Immediately after the game, join the show and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction with the Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Hey, it's Connor Happer. Join Gary Sharp and I on Monday and Tuesday for a couple special presentations of high school football right here on 1620 The Zone. Brought to you by Great Plains Home Exteriors. Monday night at 7, we bring you the Class B state championship game between Bennington and Scott. And Tuesday night at 7, we bring you the Class A state championship game between Westside and Elkhorn South. The NSAA state football championships on 1620 The Zone are brought to you by Great Plains Home Exteriors on Monday and Tuesday night right here on 1620 The Zone.
At Union Bank, people don't have your money. Your money has people. First home people, investment people, people who answer the phone and your chats, dream car people, dream retirement people, driving your dream car in your dream retirement people, small business people, credit card people, and all the other people you need. At Union Bank, our people help you do more than you dreamed possible. So stop in and say hello. We can't wait to see you. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Allen up the middle.
Drive backward. Nebraska gets the stop. Omar Brown. Beautifully done.
Here's the snap back to Chubba. He's going to step up. He's got some room to run. Chubba racing to the outside, 45, 40, steps upfield, 35, 30, out of bounds around the 26-yard line. How about that for 12? It'll be put down on the 20. Ball in the near hash. Kicking to the south end zone. 30-yarder to try to tie it. 7 seconds left in the game. We'll see if Luke Fickell wants to call a timeout. He does not. The kick is sailing. It is up, and it is good. And we're tied at 17 here with now just 4 seconds left in regulation.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we got into field goal range first. You know what I mean? I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to get down. We were going to take one shot at the end zone. Kind of akin to last week. I felt good about the kick. I wanted to make sure he got in range to make the kick, give him a chance to take a shot at the end zone and go from there. So, looking back, maybe should have called that earlier. So maybe we had 2 shots at the end zone, but. I know a lot of people ask me why I didn't just run the ball last week and kick it last week. So, I thought we had a good play there. Billy, you gave Billy a chance, kind of the same thing we did before the first half, and then kicked it. So, we got big, ran the ball because we wanted to make sure that we were within range, and then got the first down. But that was really kind of the thought process.
Yeah, you should call a timeout there. I mean, you should have called it earlier. It's not a should have. You should have. You definitely should have called it. I mean, I don't know how else to say it when you're watching it as people who just watch football. You know the way things work in terms of how much time you have. You got to call that timeout there. I love the aggressiveness early in the game on the 4th and 1 when they go for it up 14-0 to try to put it away and not kick the field goal from 51 yards, I have no problem with that. People will reference that today and going forward. I'd have no problem with that. You take a shot. You try to get that. You try to put it away. You try to score there and go up 21-0. It's huge. By the way, after that 22-yard run that we played a little while ago, Nebraska had a 59% chance to win the game at that point because I know that the computers were thinking they still have 4 more plays with that amount of time left. They didn't know they only had a couple plays left. There's no way the computer would have thought they wouldn't call a timeout earlier. Let's go back to the phones. It's where John is this morning in Baton Rouge, a.k.a. Red Stick. What's up, John?
Just trying to, well, I don't want to say recover, but, you know how much love the average LSU fan has for Nebraska.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in a local watering hole down at the end of the bar. They got their own TV up there, and I'm watching this, and it's 45 seconds left.
Yeah.
And I start saying, "Call timeout, call." And this guy 2 seats down from me looks over and he says, "What's he doing?"
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
It was just incomprehensible. And I understand how you feel about going for the field goal and so forth. Yeah. But what earlier,
right.
But what I don't understand is why it was so mandatory for us to try and get that mandatory touchdown last week. But this week we're just playing to kick a field goal and put it in overtime. I mean, that's what it seemed. It seemed like that's what we were doing that whole time. We weren't even considering really getting a touchdown. Not on the plays that were being called. And the other thing is all year long we've heard, well, the quarterback for next year is definitely not here right now.
Right.
And we got this and that. And I don't know about Purdy's groin injury and so forth, but was that not the best quarterback play we've had all year? I mean, let's be honest.
It's pretty darn close, especially without the turnovers.
Harburg's done some fantastic things with his feet and so forth.
Yeah.
But at least for a quarter and a half, we had consistency and we were moving the ball. It seemed like, people knew what they were doing, where they were supposed to be. We didn't have any of those mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I guess I was kind of leery when I heard at the beginning that, well, this is all I heard was this is a developmental process. Well, we all know that.
Right.
But you don't go in to a job and tell everybody that you tell them that we're going to try and make this work. We're going to make this work. It's not a case of, well, we're just going to developmental this year. And
he wanted to do both, John. He was trying to do both. He's trying to do both. He's trying to make this into a developmental program while at the same time trying to get to a bowl game. I think that was his goal coming into the season.
I got you, but it seems frustrating. The defense played well, and then
sure,
I guess I'm not quite on. Do we have a certain number of plays scripted, and then after that it's just kind of we start pulling them here, there, and everywhere? I'm not going to use the phrase I wanted to use.
Sure.
But I mean, there were plays that were called, particularly in the second half, where you're like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, grab bag.
We're running the ball. We're running the ball. We're moving the ball.
Yeah.
And then we lose 9-10 yards.
Yep.
Yeah, even my dog agrees with me.
Hey, hey, John, we appreciate the call, man.
Just asking. I mean,
yeah.
When are we going to get out of developmental and we're going to win?
I completely understand, John. We appreciate your call. So all teams script a certain amount of plays to start a game, all of them. My concern is not the beginning of the game for Nebraska. My concern currently is the start of the second half for Nebraska. They've gone now 3 games in a row where they either 3 and out, or I think they ran 6 plays a couple of weeks ago coming out of halftime and then punted the ball. You got to come out of halftime with whatever you figured out during halftime was your best plays in the first half and run those in the second half. You got to mount drive. I've talked about it for years. You've got to win the middle third. The best way to win the middle third is obviously you want to make that field goal at the end of the half, but you come out the first time you have a chance to have the ball in the second half and you put together a drive and you get points. And too many times now at the beginning of second halves, they haven't looked like they know what they're doing on offense, and that's a big problem. Real quick break. We'll take the last one in for the hour. When we come back, we'll go to Matt, then Bob, then Alex here on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Ryan Radke and Ryan Harris will call the action Sunday night this week from Denver when the Broncos host the Vikings. Minnesota's on a 5-game win streak behind recently acquired quarterback Josh Dobbs. The Broncos are on a 3-game win streak of their own. Join us on air and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on Sunday Night Football.
Right here on 1620, The Zone.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine better with Syntec Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil, only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec High Mileage is formulated for today's engines with over 75,000 miles. Now get 5 quarts of Syntec High Mileage and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $34.99. Limits apply. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For the ones who get it done,
The most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to OmahaWeekendDeals.com, where each week we've discounted deals to some of your favorite businesses. This week's deal is to Mo Fish at 2403 Nash Boulevard in Council Bluffs. Get $50 in gift certificates for only $25 to Mo Fish. Mo Fish specializes in catfish, Alaskan walleye, and hand-breaded shrimp. Check them out on Facebook. Head to OmahaWeekendDeals.com right now to get yours. That's OmahaWeekendDeals.com.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Best drive of the game for the Badgers. Have it at the Cornhusker 26. Mordecai gets the snap, play actions. Back to throw, looking on a wheel route to find it downfield. He fires it to Aker, makes a catch. 10-5, touchdown Badgers. Jackson Aker and a little wheel route popped open. Nobody picked him up out of the flat. He sprints down the sideline, and the Badgers have cut the lead in half.
Shoot, at the end of the day, we're 5-6 with a chance to Gold Bowl eligible. Play a great Iowa team. I'm excited for them. We'll bounce back. When these guys, they don't quit, but they are hurting right now, and they are hurting right now, both physically and emotionally. And but you know what? As I said, that's okay. It's part of life. We have to learn to not shy away from that, lean into it. And I bet you, Iowa's a really good team. I bet you these guys bounce back and they play hard on Friday.
Welcome back to the reaction here on 1620 The Zone, wrapping up the first hour of the show. No Steve Sipple this week. He's got a travel bind coming back from Wisconsin, and so we're not going to be able to catch up with him this week. But if you haven't had a chance to read what he wrote on Husker Online, went over a lot of things we're going over. Special teams problems, punting issues, the decision they made on third down and then fourth down to go for it instead of kicking the field goal. He discusses that on there. He also has the end of the half and then the end of the game as well. Let's go back to the phones where Matt is this morning. What's up, Matt?
Hi, Michael. Nice. Great show today. Had 3 points.
Okay.
Chubba Purdy looks pretty good. And, I called you last week. You need a quarterback with a little moxie. And so last week, I'm a Hawkeye fan. Your second Hawkeye fan of the day. Sorry. But last week, he drove you guys 90 yards. Unfortunate interception.
Yep.
This week, end of the game, gets you down the field, get the field goal, and then overtime.
Yep.
I think outside of a transfer portal quarterback off season, he should be the top guy next year.
For Nebraska?
I'm not sure. For Nebraska.
Okay.
And then second point was, you're talking about these Madden kids. And I was just thinking when you're talking about it, University of Nebraska has an esports club and team.
Yeah.
And the coach is Amon Green.
Yeah.
Probably the best running back outside of Frazier or Rozier and Lawrence Phillips. How much? This sounds ridiculous, but it's not. Couldn't you pay one of these kids $15 an hour, have him stand on the sideline or up with Sat,
Yeah.
and say, call a timeout now?
Here's the problem, Matt. You know what the problem
sounds
is?
Ridiculous.
Here's the problem, Matt. They don't play Madden in esports. It's not one of the games they play. But
I'm sure
but
they have.
but I agree with you. There have been teams in the NFL that have gotten very young analytics people just to make those decisions, when to call timeouts, when to go for it. I remember the Colts years ago hired a guy just for that. So I'm sure there are teams that have pretty young people on their staff just doing that stuff.
Maybe college football teams should start in their esports a Madden team. I mean, it could be a new profession.
Yeah.
Outside of sign stealing, you could have a Madden team on your campus. Third point was their option game just looks wrong. Like the spacing between the running back, like that first play in overtime. I mean, I'm not from Nebraska, so Nebraskans, this isn't in your DNA. He runs, parallel to the line. That quarterback isn't making that defensive end make a decision.
Yeah.
Or the outside linebacker.
You got to press the edge.
But they don't.
Yeah.
Harburg, the only time they do it is when the quarterback knows he's running it. Like Harburg will just turn it upfield. I would like to look at the stats. Every time they pitch the ball on the option this year, how many yards does that running back have? I would guess it's less than 20 over the course of the year. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're about right. I can only think of really. Hey, and I appreciate the call, man. I can only think of 3 or 4 plays where it was true option, and it was pitch off of the option, and it was a big play, so 10 yards or more. I can think of 3. I know one had Emmett Johnson. I know one earlier in the season with Gabe Ervin. Not a lot. The biggest plays coming off the option have been with the quarterback keeping it for sure, but the majority of them have had that as well. I don't know what's happened to the option game. Maybe it's because teams are prepping for it. They know Nebraska's going to run it now, and so they're prepping for it all week long as part of their defensive package, and they're better prepared than they were earlier in the season. But as we all know, if it's run correctly and it's run efficiently, it's going to work because you're putting somebody in the bind on the edge. You're forcing usually a secondary guy to make a tackle, which usually can be difficult. Normally it's going to give you something. We'll take one more phone call before we take a break. Let's go to Alex. Hey, Alex.
How you doing, boss?
I'm okay.
Well, I know you're mad. Just to change of pace, I know we're talking football this morning, but how about Husker hoops?
5-0, Bubba. 5-0.
That's the end of the call, baby.
All right, let's go. Look, man, I said it when they got to 3-0, and then when they got to 4-0, and I said, well, let's see if they can beat Oregon State, who's not a great team, but let's see how they handle it. I thought they should be favored by 12. I think they won by 21. No, it did exactly what they're supposed to do. 5-0, first time that they've started undefeated like this since Fred Hoiberg's been here. It's great. It's a great win. It's a great wins. Great start to the season. Let's go to Bob. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Morning, guys. Hey, I just want to say right out of the gate, I treasure these moments, these phone calls every Sunday morning with you guys. I really enjoy your insight. Real quick, is it a fair assumption? Is it fair to say that this coaching staff, Satterfield and Rule specifically, played a big part in the last 3 losses this team has had? I'm watching this game, and I'm watching the dominance of this offense in the first quarter and a half, and then something happened. And the only thing I can think of is they just get outside their box. Hey, this is working really good, but wait, what if we try this little trick play here? Ha ha. No, man. In the great words of Woody Hayes, run it until they stop it. And if they don't stop it, keep doing it. Why do we get fancy, guys? I'm incensed. I've went 15, 20 years with this Husker program screaming, we just don't have maybe the horses to get the job done. Now, I think maybe we do, and we've got some incompetence going on in the offensive side of the ball, and I can't figure it out. I mean, the clock management is deplorable. Special teams, did we forget how to play special teams? At the end of the half, Coleman makes a tremendous catch, gets us down to the 31.
Yep.
We got a little bit of time left. Hey, let's go for the end zone. How about we go get a 10-yard dump call timeout and put your kicker in a great position to put some points on the board? I just don't understand this. Chubba he threw it out of the end zone and almost ran the clock out. We didn't even have it. We almost burned a chance to kick that field.
That was close. Yep.
I'm just incensed, guys. I don't understand the mindset. I love the aggressiveness, but at some point, smart football has to prevail. And right now, we are not coaching smart football. Yet another game Nebraska should have won. Adjustments at halftime, they don't exist. The kids are playing hard. Defense is playing well. Chubba Purdy, I mean, where's this kid been? I mean, that scares me who's evaluating the quarterbacks at this point, because that kid looked better than all of our quarterbacks all year long. Now, maybe it was just lightning in a bottle. I don't know. But, man, he commanded some confidence out there. He was on fire, and then they just put the handcuffs on him. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I really don't. I really think that the coaches are liable in these last 3 losses. I really do.
Bob, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'll say that again, you can't put it on one thing, but as I said earlier, you can't lose the third phase every single week. You can't. You lose the third phase every week, you're going to lose games. Now, they didn't turn the ball over, which is great until that last interception, but you're minus 11 in net punting. You're minus 6 or 7 in field position because of your special teams. You're not getting returns when you get the opportunity to get returns. You're minus, I think it was 60 or 70 in returns overall because you're not getting any and they're getting some. You continually lose, and another missed field goal. You continually lose the third phase. You're going to lose games. Now, is that on Coach Foley? I don't know. Is there somebody else to put in there besides Brian Buschini? I don't know. But something's got to change next year for their special teams. They've got to be able to make plays to win games on special teams. You look at what Wisconsin did. They continually made plays. Got 4th and 1 in that overtime. They gave the ball to Braylon Allen. He made the play. Go back, 3rd and 10. Mordecai escapes the pocket, gives them the 4th and 1. 4 times he ran the ball and got first downs. That was one time he didn't. He ran the ball 9 times, 4 of them for first downs, 1 for a 9-yard carry to set up a 4th and 1. That's clutch plays. I don't know what happened in the second half of the play calling. I'm sitting here rewatching that option play. Purdy sees the end come up field, and so he actually loses ground. At that point, and if he's run more, probably if he's got more experience, he immediately takes it upfield, realizing that point the option is blown. Because 17 so far up the field, your fullback, Bonner, has no choice what to do there. And so you've got a situation where instead of giving up yards, you've got to you just got to realize I can't get anything else. He's got to get up the field right there. If Purdy has got more experience playing this year, maybe he makes that play. Maybe Harburg realizes it earlier and gets upfield. If you watch it, he loses, instead of pushing the edge and bringing upfield, he loses 3 yards and then makes the pitch. Luckily, Anthony Grant got physical to make it only a 1-yard loss. It could have been a 3 or 4-yard loss, but that's where they are. Let's go back to the phones where Tyler is this morning. Hello, Tyler.
Well, I had a really Purdy chubby going on at the start of the game, and I just didn't really know where to go from there. I'm sitting out here in my deer stand, and I kind of feel like Husker football right now. There's just not a lot going on.
Well, good luck to you. I hope you get something.
Well, Jesus, I wish we'd get something going on in the football stats.
I know.
I don't know if it's a Foley bush that's blocking everything or what's been going on the last 2 years.
I don't know. I appreciate it, Tyler. I would say to you, and good luck in the deer stand. I said it at the beginning of the show. Winning is a habit, but so is losing. And you've got a lot of guys on this team that haven't had success in a long time. Some have to go back to high school since they had success. You got guys who've been here for 6 years and haven't had success, 5, 4, 3, all the way down. That's who you need to find in recruiting. You've got to find winners, guys that make clutch plays. That's what you have to find. As important as stars and as important as measurables and as important as talent is overall, you've got to find some more winners because in the end, that's where you're stuck. Go back and look at whether it be Maryland or it go be Michigan State or last night. Those teams that beat you had players that made plays down the stretch. They made important plays down the stretch. Nebraska couldn't find that. I'm going to read this stat to you. I was going to save it for Stephen M. Sipple, but he's not here because he's traveling. This stat is crazy to think about. Nebraska hasn't scored or even got a first down in overtime going all the way back to 2016. They haven't won an overtime game since 2014. The fact that they haven't even gotten a first down in 7 straight overtime games is great. You know what regression is? You should have positive regression at some point. They've gained a total of 9 yards, -6 in turnovers in overtime since 2016. 7 straight. Fundamentally and statistically, that's damn near impossible to do, but Nebraska has managed to do it. That's where you are right now. Gary, KG, stay right there. We'll come back. We'll get to your phone calls. Severe Reaction brought to you by and presented by Nebraska Medicine. And, of course, also presented by Equitable Bank, where they take banking personally. We'll answer the phone on the first call. More Severe Reaction, Gary and KG, when we come back here on 1620 The Zone.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jays shoot-around and overtime shows, the Creighton men's basketball pregame and the postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jays shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Union Bank and Trust. Hear the breakdown and coverage about your top-ranked Creighton men's basketball team before and after each game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, the 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now, back to Severe Reaction. Powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Railing out in the back. Mordecai looks over the Husker defense, 2 wide to the left. Mordecai takes the snap, hands it off to Braylon Allen, leaps into the end zone, touchdown Badgers, and they have the lead. That's the first rushing touchdown allowed by the Black Shirts in 6 games.
The touchdown drive, I think, for them to take the lead. It's like 2nd and 18, and we blitz, and we hit him, and he shakes us off and runs. We're a team that prides itself on our defense, and the defense prides itself on tackling. And, reverse that play. A lot of guys had opportunities to make some of those plays. And so, sometimes when we talk about momentum, we talk a lot about the offense and all those things. To me, defense, we could use a sack, fumble.
Third quarter stats. Nebraska. They ran 11 plays. 5 rushes for 1 yard. Ran 5. Yeah, they ran 5 rushes. They had 6 passes. Total 25 yards. They had 5 yards rushing, 20 yards passing, 3 penalties for 24 yards, and punted twice. That was the third quarter for Nebraska. Too many times now, man. Third quarter, you've got to be able to come out in that second half and put together something. What are you doing at halftime? They've got whiteboards. You've got whiteboards. They're putting together stuff at halftime. You got to put together stuff at halftime. On the other side, Wisconsin scored 7, had 75 yards, tripled up the amount of yards for Nebraska, had 45 yards on the ground. And you know what they had in penalties? 0 in the third quarter. And they won the third quarter. They won the second half of the second quarter. And then essentially, obviously won overtime. Tie in the fourth quarter. I don't know. It's just got to be better coming out of halftime. Let's go back to the phones. This is where KG is this morning. Hey, KG.
Hey, good morning, Michael.
Hey, man.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Since they moved Satterfield up into the box, how many games ago was that?
I want to say that goes all the way back to Purdue, right? Isn't that when it happened? When it was cold, that cold game?
Cold.
Was it that game?
Okay. I could have been, yeah. So has their offense production increased or decreased since they moved them up there? Can you recall?
Well, I don't believe they've won it. They haven't won a game, right? Since they went Purdue.
Right.
I believe Purdue was the game where he went upstairs. They won that game, obviously. And then they turned around and they haven't scored. They haven't scored 20 points in a game since then.
Since they moved him up there. Okay.
Yep.
And who is helping the quarterbacks on the sidelines since he's up there? Is there anybody talking or anybody?
I would guess if I had to guess, Garrett McGuire would do some of that, the wide receiver coach. And then they have guys who are analysts who are on the sideline as well that are probably talking to him. But more than anything else, they're on the phone with Satterfield after they get off the field.
Yeah. I just wonder why they moved him up there now that their production's gone. I don't know. So I have another question.
Sure.
I know we talk about special teams a lot. So what is up? Why are they regressing? I just having a hard time with that, especially when you need the plays, especially on punts. I don't know. Don't they have a backup? Don't they have a second string punter? I'm just trying to figure out because it has to be mental with Buccini. It has to be, in my opinion.
It's got to be because he'll hit hey, thanks, KG. We appreciate it. He'll hit he hit a 49-yarder, and then he had a 19 and a 25-yarder. That's inexcusable. The 25-yarder turned around and actually worked out for Nebraska because that's the drive where Wisconsin gets the ball at Nebraska's 40, gets the 4th and 1 or 4th and 3 and goes for it and fails. So Nebraska gets the ball at the 33-yard line. Actually gained yards on that exchange. But for the most part, the 19-yarder he had, that led to a touchdown by Wisconsin. It's inexcusable, man. You can't lose the net punting thing every single week. Lost it by 11 yards this week. It's it's 11 yards per punt. That's what I always say. Think about it. 11 yards per punt is what you're losing. Not just 11 one time, 11 per punt. Go back to the phones where Gary. Oh, damn it. Sorry, Gary. Call back, Gary. My fault. I hit the wrong button. Russ, go ahead. I did a no-look punch. That was bad. Hey, Russ.
Hey, good morning. You hang out with the coaches you're down there during the week. Quick question. Do we have a play? I'll just describe it as a tush push. We don't have a quarterback with a broken hand so he can get under center. I'm thinking if you've got to go a yard or less for a first down, a yard or less for a touchdown, get my quarterback under center. First sound, here we go. Wisconsin, you gave the touchdown to Braylon Allen, but it was number 71 who got the touchdown.
Sure.
He didn't get the credit,
Yeah.
but he pulled as a right tackle and pushed the guy in the end zone.
Yeah, he did. Yep. Yeah, I
So
know.
do-
I don't,
do
Russ,
we
Russ, I
have
don't know.
that in our-
I can think
in
of
our arsenal?
real quick. I can think of at least 3 or 4 times in the last 4 weeks where they have done I wouldn't call it a tush push, but I would certainly call it a quarterback sneak and gotten it. But I haven't not on 4th down though. On 4th down, they usually always go in the shotgun. I have no idea why.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Russ. I don't know why they do it. I have no idea. I would never be in shotgun on short yardage. Not in 2023. Not anymore. I would always be under center. That's just me.
And just think, we're not $9 million people.
That is true. We're not $9 million. Thank you, Russ. I don't get it. I saw it yesterday 5 or 6 times before the Nebraska game. I watched it throughout the day where teams with Maryland lined up from the goal line against Michigan in the shotgun and tried to run a play and lost a yard, then came back and got under center and ran a sort of a tush push and scored. There's no reason to be in shotgun on short yardage unless you're going to do some sort of play action pass. And the play action pass is going to work better under center anyway because they're thinking you're running the ball. Let's see. Let's go to Brian. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Hey, you there, Michael?
I'm there, Brian. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on. Sorry. I'm out in the garage.
Okay.
Hey, real quick here. Something that bothers me, I'm just going to get this off my chest, is I'm sick of Rule talking about the defense needs to get us a turnover. The defense needs to get us a turnover. Yeah, true. Your offense sucks, Rule. Wake up.
Here, Brian, real quick, let me tell you why he said, Brian, let me tell you why he says that. Let me tell you why he says that.
About the damn, or crabs about the dang, defense, and he never calls out the offense.
Brian, let me tell you why he says that so much, okay? When they turned it around at Temple and when they turned it around at Baylor, it was all defense. They went from being a defense that lost the turnover margin to being one of the best in terms of forcing turnovers. He knows if he's going to win as a head coach, it's going to be with defense and turning the other people over. That's why he says it so much. I guarantee it.
Okay, the offense doesn't help us.
No,
right?
It does not. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And the biggest thing coming into this game, I do my keys every week. I research the hell out of them. I watch former games of the team that they're playing. I knew for a fact Tanner Mordecai was the key to this game, and it's his legs, not his arm. He was fine. He got hot in the second quarter and got going a little bit, but it's him running the ball. You knew coming in that was a big key. Nebraska needed to contain him with either a spy, but you had to slow Tanner Mordecai. I'm a poet and I don't know it. You had to do that. And in the end, they did not. 4 of his 9 runs, as I mentioned earlier, were for first downs. He had the third down in overtime, got 9 yards. That play has to be made. Javin Wright played great most of the year since he's been in there a lot. Got to make that. It's got to happen. You stop him there, they got to force a field goal. You had to slow down Tanner Mordecai, and they couldn't. It was the biggest key in the game, in my opinion, when facing their offense. More than Braylon Allen, it was Mordecai. Called runs, scramble runs. You had to, and you didn't. And in the end, it's what cost you the game. You had to do that. You got to be better in the third quarter, and you got to be better finishing drives. Those are the 3 things you have to be able to do to win games. You get over the team's 40-yard line, you need to get points. You need to average at least 4. Nebraska averaged 2.8. They crossed the opponent's 40-yard line. I'm adding in getting the ball 25 in overtime. They crossed the opponent's 40-yard line. You've got to be able to score points. 17 points, 6 trips, 2.8 yards. You got to get at least 4. You know what Wisconsin got? 6 drives, 24 points, 4 points. A successful drive. You have to do that if you're going to win in any conference, but especially the Big Ten, because points are at a premium. Let's go back to Gary. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Good. Going back to the punting thing, I totally think that it's totally in Bushini's head.
Sure.
Because either he's got a heavy leg from just being tired from over punting in practice or whatever, but
right.
The dude is just not in. You know, you can see he's kind of hesitant on his punts. But one thing, did you notice that when Kobe Bretz came in totally unblocked and he backed off that block punt?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. He should have stretched out.
He clearly had the angle.
Yeah.
And he was on top of that guy, and he just brushed by him, and he pulled his arms back. And the announcers replayed it again.
Yeah.
And they said, boy, he sure had. And I looked at that thing, and I'm like,
yeah.
What the heck just happened there?
I don't know. You know, I listened to the radio call, so I didn't hear the TV call. But on the radio call, they were saying the same thing. Damon kept saying, why didn't he extend? Why didn't he dive? I have no idea.
Oh my God, he didn't even have to extend. He just pulled his arms back.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of circled back upfield to go,
And maybe the angle we had, Gary, because sometimes when you're watching TV, especially from behind, you can't quite tell the distance as well as the person who's actually doing it. So maybe he wasn't as close as he looked to us, but he certainly looked close enough that he should have gotten it.
Yeah. And another thing, still in my mind, still having trouble trying to get that left tackle position fixed with the movements of Teddy twice, 2 or 3 times movement, that still has not been corrected. And I've got one thing that I made a living on, and I coached 20 years, is when you got a 4th and 1 and you have a quarterback that's fast like Purdy, you run that dive up the middle and you fake it and you bootleg around. There's usually nobody there.
No contain guy.
You want to kind of put yourself one-on-one with the corner that's on that side you're bootlegging around. Why teams don't do it is beyond me, but it's there for the taking.
No, I completely, Gary, I preach boot and waggle. I preach it, especially you have an inexperienced quarterback, because you got to give them easier throws and easier plays to make. Boot and waggle is the best way to do it. Boot is naked, where he's doing what Gary said. Waggle is when you pull somebody, whether it's a guard or a tackle or the center, to be that personal protector for the quarterback. Usually the waggles for a throw, the boots for a run. I preach it all the time. Other than the screenplay, it's one of the best plays to get quarterbacks going. I don't know why we don't see a lot of it. I don't know. And you're completely right. You dive, especially against a team like Wisconsin, in the way they set up. They're a 3-man front in general, and they have the 2 outside linebackers that are usually, one of them has his hand in the ground, but they're playing wide. They're crashing down almost every play. You have to be able to do that and give your quarterback a chance, especially one as athletic as Chubba Purdy, to make that play on the edge. I completely agree with you. This is all stuff that should have happened last night. But the bottom line in this whole game, and I'm not going to go away from it, is a minute 35 is when Chubba had the 22-yard run to put Nebraska in scoring position. Wisconsin called a timeout, and Nebraska had 1st and 10 and only managed to get 3 more plays in. That's on the coaching staff. There's no other way to do it. It's on the coaching staff. Let's go to Don. Hello, Don. Don?
How you doing?
Hey, good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, first-time caller or long-time listener. So I was at the game yesterday, drove in from Chicago. It's not too far from here. So 3 points that I want to make that maybe don't come across when you're watching it on TV. So on that 4th and 1 play.
Nebraska's 4th and 1 play where Emmett Johnson lost a yard because Ben Scott got blown back, that one?
Yes, exactly. This is when we were up 14-0 and about to convert that play. It came across on TV, but the mood in the stadium was so sour. If Nebraska gets that 4th and 1 and gets any points in that game, totally different game.
I completely agree.
I was out with my kids. Games turn on these plays. You have to call your best play at first down. You get that first down, we're probably talking about a Nebraska victory today. So that's 1 point.
Yes, sir.
In the 4th quarter, and you've talked about it quite a bit, about the time management. I like Matt Rule, but Wisconsin fans turned around and, looked around at the Nebraska fans and said, what is your coach doing?
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's how bad that time management was. I mean, you've got 135 left and you've got 3 plays in. You're kidding me. Okay? And then lastly, also going into overtime. So 2 touchdown drives that Nebraska had, they were driving into the student section, but plays. So they didn't really have to face the student section for long drives. That's number one. Secondly, in the first quarter, those students didn't show up until about 2 minutes left in the first quarter.
Don, is that the first time you've been to a Wisconsin game? Is that the first time you've been to a Wisconsin game?
Been to about 5. But
okay,
second
so
time
that's
goes
pretty standard because they make them come in single file. So it takes them a whole quarter almost to get the student section filled up. It's very weird why they do that, but that's the way they always do it. It's very strange.
Makes sense, yeah. So in the fourth quarter, when we're going into overtime,
yeah.
as soon as the coin toss was done, realized Wisconsin said, "Yep, you're going to draft to the student section." For one, including my kids, are like, "We're not going to score. Not a chance we're going to score."
Right.
That was when the student section was the most amped up. We were not going to score, and we know how it went. So,
right.
And then finally, real quick, I'll touch on Buschini. I sat at the 50-yard line behind the Nebraska bench on the sideline. He was behind the team, standing up, getting up, trying to warm up, do different. It was strange. He just doesn't look like he's physically all there. And if he's not physically all there, putting the team, and that's on the coaches to go with somebody else.
Yeah.
Some form of consistency at that position. You're losing yards. You've talked about it. He doesn't look like somebody who should be on the field. He's physically not there.
I'm with you, Don. I appreciate it. Thanks for the take from what happened in the stadium. Appreciate it. Let's go quickly to the phone for taking the break. Wyatt. Hello, Wyatt. How are you doing, sir?
You know, I know that there was once a great man, I believe his name was Frylock, who said that it's like Viagra, make everything hard.
I'm not a great man at all, but yes, I have said both. Like Cialis or Viagra, you make everything hard. No, I'm not a great man, but certainly I've said that before. Nebraska does do that. Tell me this. So Wyatt, I'm not going to be stereotypical, but you're okay with numbers. You get numbers, right? You're okay. Yeah. Tell me, isn't it statistically impossible almost that they could play 7 overtime games and only gain 9 yards in those games?
It seems like it's not the only one. It seems like there's so many statistical abnormalities that it's almost inconceivable. Like it's fiction. It's not even, it's a fantasy world.
Yeah, we should make a list of that. List of all of the statistical and probability stuff for Nebraska the last 10 years.
Yeah. But I do have a question, though. Yeah. I mean, you kind of addressed it earlier. Because, is there anything with Foley? Because, Buschini seemed like he was better last year. Alvano hasn't been what we thought he would be. And the return game hasn't been there. And, it just hasn't shined at all. And doesn't seem to be getting any better. So I know you said they probably need to make some changes, but I guess, is there any talk about that?
Yeah, no, White, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. I would say this. The only thing that I really could say that they have done well in special teams so far has been kickoff coverage. And yesterday they gave up more than that. But in kickoff coverage, I think they've been ranked, they were second or third in the Big Ten in kickoff return coverage. So they've been very good at that. But other than that, obviously you want to make more field goals and you want to do a better job with the punt game and you want to get some yards at returning. The last time I looked, I think Nebraska's 13th or they're 14th. Maybe they're somewhere in there in the Big Ten in average punt return yards. I think it was like 4.1, if I remember correctly, something like that. It was bad. It's compared to everybody else. And you have to be able to make at least a play on special teams that either steals you a possession or steals you a couple of first downs. I know people don't love hearing quotes and stuff from Tom Osborne nowadays. It's very strange now, but the man talked constantly about the difference in returning something to the 20 and returning something to the 29. It's only a 9-yard difference, but it means something in terms of points. You steal a first down, you steal a possession. They're not getting that. They tried to steal a possession last week with the fake punt. It was great. Then they turned the ball over and gave it right back. You got to be able to steal possessions and steal first downs in special teams, and they have not done that. Eric, stay right there. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into some of the keys for the game and things that went right. We'll get some positivity when we come back here on Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Home is where your health is, where your family gathers together, takes care of each other. And right there with you is Nebraska Medicine. We're proud to take care of Nebraska, to deliver everything your family needs. From immediate care to neurosurgery, it's expertise you can be confident in. With locations throughout the region and telehealth appointments from the comfort of home. Find a provider close to you at nebraskamed.com.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Welcome to OmahaWeekendDeals.com, where each week we've discounted deals to some of your favorite businesses. This week's deal is to Mo Fish at 2403 Nash Boulevard in Council Bluffs. Get $50 in gift certificates for only $25 to Mo Fish. Mo Fish specializes in catfish, Alaskan walleye, and hand-breaded shrimp. Check them out on Facebook. Head to OmahaWeekendDeals.com right now to get yours. That's OmahaWeekendDeals.com.
Meet Bruce.
Hey there.
He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone.
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up AutoSave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools, one bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
AutoSave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Hey, it's Connor Happer. Join Gary Sharp and I on Monday and Tuesday for a couple special presentations of high school football right here on 1620 The Zone. Brought to you by Great Plains Home Exteriors. Monday night at 7, we bring you the Class B state championship game between Bennington and Scott. And Tuesday night at 7, we bring you the Class A state championship game between Westside and Elkhorn South. The NSAA State Football Championships on 1620 The Zone are brought to you by Great Plains Home Exteriors on Monday and Tuesday night right here on 1620 The Zone.
Amid high inflation and an uncertain economy, thousands of Omaha families are struggling to escape poverty. But this holiday season, you can help them find a way forward by giving to the Salvation Army. Here in the Metro, we serve families with the support they need to get back on their feet by providing food, shelter, utility assistance, and more. Join our effort to love beyond Christmas. Give to the Salvation Army today at omaharedkettle.org. That's omaharedkettle.org.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Come down at the end, you really take the field goal at the end. Take one shot. Try Malachi in the corner route. It's not caught. Really take the field goal. It's not quite there. So I thought those things were pretty good. And then just unfortunately, some of the plays we tried to be aggressive on, run a reverse. They hit it for a loss. Wanted to give the guys a chance to make some plays, and just didn't quite make them. So,
welcome back to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone, presented by Equitable Bank, where they take banking personally and answer the phone in the first ring. Also presented by Nebraska Medicine. Note from Dave that says the lack of understanding the part. Sorry, I got the microphone in the way. The lack of understanding the end of the game situation has to be addressed over and over again in press conferences until the coaches see it. This is a them problem, not a young player's problem. A coach's job is to read the room and base decisions off the game scenario, not what fits his ifs and buts. I envision another mass exodus of players because the staff is just as incompetent as often. I don't think, Dave, I don't see a mass exodus coming. I think, yeah, you're going to lose some guys. I think you'll be surprised by some of the seniors, guys that could leave that will stay. I think you will be surprised. One, because of NIL and being able to make some money and not quite knowing about their draft position. I think you're going to be surprised. There's going to be a few, 3 or 4 guys who you would think might go to the draft that are going to stay because they think this is going in the right direction and they like Matt Rule and they like their assistant coaches. I think that's going to be the case. Let's go to the phone before we take a break. We're way behind on breaks. Let's go to Eric. Hey, Eric.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, man.
I think one thing quickly is the thing you just read from that guy. I kind of agree with it, but now with the older guys, if I was those coaches, I would be re-recruiting the hell out of guys like Lenhart and some of those young guys, because you don't know who's talking to them behind the scenes and who's going to give them more NIL money somewhere else to jump ship. But aside from that, everybody's talked about all the X and O stuff, but what it comes down to is Nebraska is just the ultimate slump buster. They are the ultimate get-right game
Yes, sir.
for everyone. I mean, all I heard the week before Michigan State was, oh, their locker room's terrible. They're in disarray. They've lost 6 in a row. And what do? They come out and play their ass off and win.
Yeah.
Same with Maryland. They lost games before. Wisconsin, if you watched that Northwestern game the week before,
I did.
They looked awful.
Yep.
And what does it take? One of their players to come out and just berate his own team. And, of course, they get it all squared up and run the ball in a way they hadn't at all before and stuck with it when they played us. So I don't see any difference now. People can say there's a difference in the way the team looks or what they're doing, but the results are the same. They're going to end up 5-7, and then we're going to have the same talk we had after the first year of Riley, the first year of Frost. Oh, stuff looks better. It's not. I think you're exactly right. There's players that just have to get flushed out of there because there's just a losing mentality in there. And until that just gets totally flushed, I don't see this changing at all. But, hey, have a good one.
Eric, we appreciate it. You nailed it in saying first year of Frost. The 2015, they ended up going to a bowl game because of APR. But remember, year 2, very similar kind of schedule that year 2 Matt Rule's going to have. And they had the opportunity to win games, and they did. And Riley goes 6-0 and goes to Wisconsin and has a chance to win a game. Yeah, sure. They have the opportunity to do it again next year. So hopefully they go similar. Hopefully they go similar to 2016 in the second year of Riley, the second year of Rule. We'll take a break. We'll come back, get caught up on breaks here on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FOOTBALL at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FOOTBALL. Enjoy.
It hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I never smoked a cigarette. How in the hell did I get lung cancer?
I don't smoke. I've never smoked. So I started Googling. One word just kept coming up, like it was in bold and red, and it was radon.
Radon is the number 2 cause of lung cancer.
Well, you don't know if it's in your home. You got to test. You can't see it. You can't taste it. You can't smell it.
What's your level? Radon Defense Midwest can help. Visit radonradio.com for a special offer. That's radonradio.com.
Host is roasting every morning.
Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
He could go. Like, it's kind of like I said to you guys on Thursday. Like, he was in uniform, hadn't really practiced, and he's kind of been out there on a limited basis. So it made sense to put Chubba out there and let him play. And, I thought he had a good week, and I liked the way he looked last week. And he certainly came out like gangbusters and got us going. But I think even in the interim on the plays where, we didn't quite get, I wouldn't put any of that on him. I thought he did a really nice job tonight.
Stepped out of my zone. I had to get out of the
Welcome back, Severe and Benny. Welcome back, Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone. That leads into what I wanted to talk about in terms of what I thought Nebraska did do well. And you got to start with Chubba Purdy and what he did. Now, there was I think 3 punts in a row, maybe 4 punts in a row in the middle of the game where they just couldn't get anything going. And that's going to happen. It happens to Nebraska's offense. But he was 15 of 23. He started 6 of 7. So put in perspective, but 15 of 23 for 169 yards, 14 carries, 115 yards, and the touchdown. Had the interception at the end, but to say a guy who hadn't played really all year besides the one drive last week, you got to give him a lot of credit for the plays that he made and the way he did it. I think you also have to give a credit for a defense that ended up the game pretty banged up, but that series where they had back-to-back stuff plays, where Phelan Sanford came in there and just laid the lumber on a 3rd and 1 to force a 4th and 1, and then Hutmaker gets together with Luke Reimer and make the stop on 4th and 1. That is big. The drive before that, same thing. That was the bad punt, the 25-yard punt by Buschini. Gave them the ball to 40, Nebraska's 40. Drove down 7 yards, had 3rd and 3, then 4th and 3, and Nebraska got the stop. That defense stepped up and played hard and made a lot of plays. I know there was some missed tackles and that kind of thing. I get that. But as we always talk about, when you're playing these kind of games, a lot of times it comes down to 1 or 2 decisions that are made or not made, or calls that are made and not made. You don't want to blame everything on referees. I just don't do that. But Luke Reimer blows up Braylon Allen on a 2nd down in overtime. Braylon Allen trips him. It's very obvious. Middle of the field, trips him. You call that. That's a 15-yard penalty. All of a sudden, they're sitting at 2nd and 26, I think. They lost 1 yard on the 1st down. I think they're sitting at 2nd and 26. Pretty hard to convert. But they didn't call it. Like so many times, that one thing, either Nebraska doesn't do it or doesn't get it, and you end up where you are. We'll take, I think, one more break. When we come back here on Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgaard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Experience Omaha's first Indian restaurant and brewery. Jaipur has created delicious Indian food and brews, from the tandoori salmon to the chicken tikka makhani. Jaipur has something for every palate. 2 locations, Rockbrook and Dundee. Come see why Jaipur has been voted first place best of Omaha 18 years in a row.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Ryan Radke and Ryan Harris will call the action Sunday night this week from Denver when the Broncos host the Vikings. Minnesota's on a 5-game win streak behind recently acquired quarterback Josh Dobbs. The Broncos are on a 3-game win streak of their own. Join us on air and on the free live stream, sponsored by AutoZone, on Sunday Night Football.
Right here on 1620, The Zone.
O'Reilly.
Protect your engine better with Syntec Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil, only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec High Mileage is formulated for today's engines with over 75,000 miles. Now get 5 quarts of Syntec High Mileage and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $34.99. Limit supply. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The final regular season unauthorized Big Red Breakfast is back, and we want you to join me, Gary Sharp, and Nick Hanley from Sharp and Hanley in the morning, along with Jimmy Wednesday for our final breakfast. We'll be breaking down all the big stories for the final week, and can Nebraska repeat their upset of Iowa from last year?
This week, join us at the new Gretna Hy-Vee on 191st, featuring a breakfast buffet for just our show. One trip for $12 or all you can eat for $15. It is our final home game unauthorized Big Red Breakfast with Sharp and Hanley at Hy-Vee at 1620 The Zone.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
I think you saw a lot of things from Chubba in terms of his willingness to stand in there and compete. And so, we got one game left. I would love to see those guys. I think we put the tough thing. It's hard to say this when you lose, right? But we're pulling a lot of things together. The quarterbacks. I don't know. Do we have a turnover tonight? Yeah, at the end, yeah. So, but in terms of throughout the course of the game, I thought we protected the football, and but just wasn't quite enough.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Also presented by Nebraska Medicine as well. I have an idea for a T-shirt. Scott says, Nebraska football, making the statistically impossible a reality. And then I was thinking, if you added up the ones that have been really the anomalies or the negative regressions that Nebraska's had. So obviously I told everybody earlier, and you probably heard it by now, the overtime number where Nebraska's played these 7 overtime games and failed to get a first down. That's definitely an anomaly. I think you can get into the turnovers, right? 20 years of turnovers. It's in their DNA somehow. It just doesn't make sense how it doesn't go the other way. Remember the close game thing? That went on for a long time where they just couldn't, for whatever reason, win close games. Games that were a touchdown or less, they couldn't win. You could throw punt return on there. It's been a while. I mean, probably since J.D. Spielman, where you could legitimately say Nebraska was a threat in punt return, which is sad for a number of reasons, but because Nebraska's always been known as a team over the years that could return punts and do it well. We're going to have at the Big Red, over at the Jet Award Gala this year, our Legends Award winner is DeJuan Gross. Talking about a guy who was a hell of a productive punt returner. There's your example. Where's that guy? Where's the cornerback who can return? Or where's the running back? Or where's like Damon was? Or where's the wide receiver like J.D. Spielman or DPE? Where are those guys? What happened to that? So those are 3 things, and there's probably a list of a lot more that you could put on that list of things that just don't make sense, that are statistically improbable, that Nebraska's managed to do. One of the things I want to get to real quick about things that went wrong, and I mentioned Tanner Mordecai and not being able to control him, and I mentioned the third quarter, but that finishing drive rate key, and I talked to Matt Rule about this when I interviewed him for Big Red Wrap-Up before the season started. That is incredibly important, and that's an off-season mandate. I'm not just talking about red zone. I'm talking about when you get over the 40. That's a mandate. You've got to get points. You get points, you win games. You don't get points, you lose games, period. One last break here on Severe Reaction, 1620 Zone.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Hey, it's Connor Happer. Join Gary Sharp and I on Monday and Tuesday for a couple special presentations of high school football right here on 1620 The Zone. Brought to you by Great Plains Home Exteriors. Monday night at 7, we bring you the Class B state championship game between Bennington and Scott. And Tuesday night at 7, we bring you the Class A state championship game between Westside and Elkhorn South. The NSAA State Football Championships on 1620 The Zone are brought to you by Great Plains Home Exteriors on Monday and Tuesday night right here on 1620 The Zone.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/radio. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/radio. That's BARTESIAN.com/radio for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/radio.
The Blue Jays are off to Kansas City for a Thanksgiving week tournament. Join us from the Hall of Fame Classic as the Jays take on Loyola Chicago. Wednesday afternoon coverage begins at 2:30. Tip-off is at 3. The Blue Jays, Wednesday on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Since 05, Mo Fish in Council Bluffs has satisfied folks' taste for a good piece of fish. Fried farm-raised boneless catfish, whole catfish, carp ribs, Alaskan walleye, even frog legs. You can even try the new Hush Puppies and Caramel Apple Churros. And just because there's always that one member of the family, they also serve non-fish-related selections. Mo Fish in Council Bluffs, just minutes from downtown Omaha. Take the 25th Street exit off I-29 and head east to 2403 Nash Boulevard, or find them at that's MOFishCafe.com.
Giving Tuesday is our biggest local giving day of the year. On November 28th, let's celebrate what the Metro can do together. Donate to your choice of local nonprofits on Giving Tuesday and year-round at shareomaha.org.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Two eligible to the near side, one on the far side. Snap back to Purdy. Got to make the first down of the game as overthrows downfield, passes high, intercepted. And game's over. Badgers survive, keep the Freedom Trophy, and Nebraska's ails in overtime continue. Not able to score. Wisconsin gets bowl eligible in 3 straight heartbreaking losses, DB, for the Huskers.
Welcome back. Severe and Bitch. Keep doing that. Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. Oh, man. So I was adding up those things that you could put as statistical anomalies for Nebraska, things that have been going wrong consistently, that if you do it enough times, it should go right. That's basically what you're talking about, positive regression. Offensive line play could be on there too. For whatever reason, they have trouble finding consistent line play. I had a tweet a second ago saying about how their O-line outprotected our D rush. Their D outplayed our O-line. So I thought Nebraska's offensive line did well at times in the run game against a Wisconsin team that's a little more undersized than normal. And also they don't tackle as well as they used to. This whole year, I went back and watched 3 of their games. They just don't tackle like they used to, especially on the edge. But I'll tell you this, what they did do well was they ran well yesterday. You notice when Nebraska tried to go wide and do some of those plays, they were home, they were disciplined, and they were fast. They did that well. But I thought when Nebraska decided to go hat on a hat and run right at them, I thought the offensive line actually did pretty well. Same time, they had 8 tackles for loss. They gave some issues to Chubba Purdy, of course. But we'll be back next week, of course. Friday is the game, 11 a.m. against Iowa, Nebraska's last chance to get bowl eligible, although they still could get in with APR. We'll be back Sunday morning starting at 8 a.m., always with Severe Reaction. Looking back at that game, delayed Severe Reaction, would you call it. Thank you very much to Joey. We'll see you next week, next Sunday on Severe Reaction.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone.